Caiden Cowger. Somebody had to say it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Caiden Cowger program, broadcasting from West Virginia. It is great to have you with us. So on Saturday, we lost a very wonderful and great man. Justice Scalia passed away at the age of 79. And for those of you who do not know, Justice Scalia was appointed or nominated by President Ronald Reagan to the Supreme Court back in 1986. And he assumed office back on September 26th of 1986. And the guy was really just a constitutional genius. He was very knowledgeable regarding the supreme law. I mean, he was definitely what you would call an originalist when it came to his interpretations of the Constitution. He was a textualist, or believed in textualism, originalism, when interpreting the Constitution. And, you know, guys, it's really just a huge loss to our country to hear, especially to hear about his passing. It's very, very sad. And, you know, guys, definitely keep his family in prayer. I mean, the guy had a whole bunch of grandchildren. I think he had 9 kids. And he was ended up getting married. Let me get you the date of when he was married. He was married in 1960 to Maureen McCarthy, and all the way up to his death in 2016. Hard to believe that he's gone. Passed away February 13th, 2016. And guys, according to what we have here, because I was just in the kitchen with my grandparents, and my grandpa came in and said, "Hey, Caiden, Justice Scalia just passed away." And I went in there, turned it on Fox, and sure enough, it's very just hard to hear. But according to mysanantonio.com, Scalia was 79. Associate Justice Antonin Scalia was found dead of an apparent natural causes Saturday on a luxury resort in West Texas, federal officials said. Scalia, 79, was a guest at the, I believe it's pronounced Cibolo or something like that, Creek Ranch, a resort in the Big Bend region of South Mafara. Scalia arrived at the 30,000-acre ranch on Friday and attended a private party with about 40 people that night, according to a federal official. He left the party and retired to bed earlier than others, according to Donna Sellers, a spokeswoman with the U.S. Marshals Service. When he failed to appear at breakfast, a person involved with the ranch went to his room, where he discovered his body. A priest was called to administer his last rites. He was, I believe, Catholic. A federal official who asked not to be named said there was no evidence of foul play, and it appeared that Scalia died of natural causes. Chief U.S. District Judge Orlando Garcia of the Western Judicial District of Texas was notified about the death from the U.S. Marshals Service. U.S. District Judge Fred, I believe it's pronounced Biery, said that he was among these notified about Scalia's death. I was told about it this morning, Barry said of Scalia's death. It happened on a ranch out near Mafara. As the details emerge, I think that it's pretty vague right now as to how, he said. My reaction is that it's very unfortunate with any death, and politically in the presidential cycle we're in. My educated guess is that nothing will happen before the next president is elected. As we continue here, it was originally suspected that Scalia died of a heart attack. However, they did not do an autopsy, and in Texas it's supposed to, I think, be mandatory that an autopsy is conducted, but the family requested not to have one done, I guess. But in another article that we have here, because there's been a lot of stuff that's been going around about Scalia's death, and I first became aware of this when I went on to drudgereport.com, and Breitbart later posted something. But Scalia was found dead up in his room with a pillow over his head. That's what one of the head, owners of the ranch said. According to what we have here from sanantonio.com or mysanantonio.com, from afar, a first-time guest to the ranch, U.S. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia was animated and engaged during dinner Friday night, as one of 36 invitees to an event had nothing to do with law or politics, according to the ranch owner. Just hours later, he would be found dead of apparent natural causes, which media outlets were reporting Sunday was a heart attack. He was seated near me, and I had a chance to observe him. He was very entertaining. But about at 9:00 p.m., he said, "It's been a long day and a long week. I want to get some sleep." He recalled Houston businessman John Poindexter, who owns the 30,000 acre luxury ranch. When he tried to wake Scalia at about 8:30 the next morning, the judge's door was locked and he did not answer. 3 hours later, he returned after an outing with a friend of Scalia who had come from Washington with him. We discovered the judge in bed, a pillow over his head. His bedclothes were unwrinkled, Poindexter said. He was lying very restfully. It looked like he had not quite awakened from a nap, he said. Scalia, 79, did not have a pulse, and the body was cold. After consulting with a doctor at a hospital in Alpine, Poindexter concluded that resuscitation would have been futile. He then contacted federal authorities, at first encountering a series of answering services because he was calling on a weekend. Ultimately, they became available and handled it quite superbly. They flew in by helicopter. They told me to secure the ranch, which I did until this morning. Scalia was just the latest newsworthy guest to visit the celebrity hideaway that covers 30,000 acres near the Chinchatti or something like Chinchatti Mountains, whatever. Mick Jagger, Julia Roberts, and Tommy Lee Jones have also partaken in, I guess, staying there. But, guys, that's something that's quite concerning that I personally have felt. I mean, he was discovered in bed with a pillow over his head. His bedclothes were unwrinkled, and he went to bed at 9 o'clock, according to what this guy said, John Poindexter. So, I mean, guys, with them not doing an autopsy on Scalia, and with him now saying that they didn't have a heart attack, I mean, it is very concerning. And according to the Washington Post, the death of Antonin Scalia has sparked chaos, confusion, and conflicting reports. Where first there was a heart attack, then it wasn't a heart attack; it's just natural causes. I mean, guys, it's I have to admit, it is a little bit concerning to me, especially because when I first heard that he was found dead at a ranch in Texas, I mean, that's bothersome. And another thing that I want to point out here is that Scalia also declined a security detail, according to what we have here from the Washington Post. So it says, in a statement Sunday, the U.S. Marshal Service, which provides security for Supreme Court justices, said that Scalia had declined a security detail while at the ranch, so marshals were not present when he died. Deputy U.S. Marshals from the Western District of Texas responded immediately upon notification of Justice Scalia's passing, the statement said. And the thing that I have to ask is, why would he be having a pillow over his head? I mean, I don't, personally understand that. Now, a friend of mine, Jimmy Z, many of you have heard me talk about him before. He's the guy that does the narrations for the show and everything. I was talking to him a little bit about it, asked him what his thoughts were, and he just said that some people sleep that way. They sleep with a pillow over their head. I've never, really known anyone to sleep like that personally. I mean, I wouldn't. Just not safe, risking suffocation or, having the perfect opportunity. A killer comes into your room. How am I going to kill him? Oh, there's a pillow over his head already. Might as well put it down on his face. I mean, that's just, I just personally wouldn't do that. But I could see like covers or something being over your face. But I mean, guys, I don't know. That's, that does bother me. And to hear that there wasn't the bedding wasn't wrinkled at all. I mean, normally when you sleep, there are some wrinkles in the bed. I mean, it's just everything's perfect in there. His hands are folded on top of each other with the pillow on top of his face. It almost sounds like it was all placed. It was too perfect. But that's That's just my thoughts on it. And I really just don't like that there's not an autopsy that's being conducted. And from what I've heard, I mean, there's the family it's their wishes not to do an autopsy, I guess, from what I'm been told, or what I've read anyway. But it's very just a confusing thing. And Mitch McConnell has come out and said that he is not going to allow the Senate to vote on a Supreme Court replacement for Scalia. And Ted Cruz is actually the first one to say something about it. He said that he would filibuster any of Obama's Supreme Court appointees. And, that's very good on Cruz's part. And he said that we owe it to Scalia not to allow anybody that Obama would nominate to serve in his place. And, Ted Cruz is absolutely right. We do not need that. Because, I mean, Scalia, can you imagine Scalia's position being filled by a liberal justice? I mean, the man's already dead. I mean, let's not make it any worse. But, I mean, guys, it's very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. And, the really disgusting thing about this entire thing here is that Democrats have already been using this as an opportunity to raise money. They've already been using this as a fundraising opportunity, and the man hasn't even been dead really hasn't been dead for any more than less than a week. He's been dead. So I mean, guys, it's really just absolutely disgusting to hear that happen. That here we have the Democrats already using this as an opportunity to raise money off of his death. And according to a fundraising email, and this is what it says here from theweeklystandard.com, breaking news is from the Democrats. Breaking news from the GOP debate stage. In tonight's debate, the Democratic presidential candidates were asked on whether or not President Obama should nominate a new justice to the Supreme Court. And they said that Congress should block, delay, or otherwise refuse to allow the president to fill this vacancy. There's no excuse for this. There's no excuse for this, I guess, whatever. It's putting partisan politics above the Constitution and the rule of law, and it's appalling to hear any political official, let alone someone who thinks he should be the next president of the United States. And they're not alone. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who's responsible for scheduling votes in the Senate, has already said this vacancy should not be filed until we have a new president. No matter what Mitch McConnell says, President Obama is going to fulfill his constitutional obligation to nominate a successor to fill the vacant seat on the Supreme Court, and that nominee deserves a fair hearing in the Senate. Add your name to call on the Republicans to follow the Constitution instead of obstructing the confirmation of our next Supreme Court justice. And then it says, thanks, the Democrats, and has a link there for, I guess you'd add a name to their petition. It takes you to a fundraising page. So that's what we have presently going on right there with all the drama regarding the Supreme Court decision. And guys, I'm just going to tell you right now, the Democrats said the same exact thing that Republicans are saying back in 2007, where they said that a Supreme Court justice should not be appointed until we have a new president. And then we ended up getting Obama, and yeah, so that's how that worked. And that was Chuck Schumer, who actually was one of the ones who was advocating for the delay there for the Democrats. So now, the same thing is coming back to them. Their, original statement back then is coming back to haunt them. But, just using that as a fundraising opportunity to benefit off of Justice Scalia's death is really just, it is disgusting. It really is disgusting. And guys, I got to tell you, I mean, when I first heard about this, it was very, very upsetting to me, very depressing to me. And it's we have really lost a patriot that has done so much good for this country, that has done such a great job of interpreting the Constitution and its original textualism and originalism. And, guys, it's definitely all I have to say is just pray for his family, because I know that they probably definitely need it right now. And pray for all of his kids and grandchildren. That's what I ask right now.
Fighting liberalism one lie at a time. Caiden Cowger. Somebody had to say it.
J.P. Morgan is now holding a record 55 million ounces of silver. Goldman Sachs and HSBC recently purchased 7.1 tons of physical gold. What do these bankers and mega money managers know that you don't? They're expecting another financial crisis, and over time, they're expecting the value of gold and silver to increase. Silver is trading below its production costs and is predicted to double by 2020. That's why you need our friends at Capital Gold Group. Capital Gold Group offers gold and silver for direct delivery and will not be undersold. If you find a better rate, they will easily match it just for you. Plus, their specialty is precious metals IRA rollovers for the ultimate in IRA security. Be one of the first 20 callers today to receive their free definitive gold guide, plus their exclusive A Sterling Time to Be Buying Silver report. They have an A-plus rating with a Better Business Bureau, so call the experts at Capital Gold Group now and see what investing in gold and silver can do for you. Call now. Call 1-800-932-4108. That is 1-800-932-4108. That is 1-800-932-4108. Once again, that is 1-800-932-4108.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Paraswabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is John Greenhut, the CEO of Paraswabs. And if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Paraswabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Paraswabs risk-free, call 1-800-678-4817. That's 1-800-678-4817. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-678-4817. That's 1-800-678-4817.
Have you ever had this brilliant idea for an invention? I mean, you think that if this idea, if this invention actually gets out in production and is able to be marketed and everything, this will make you millions and millions of dollars. So people have ideas like this all the time. But the problem that they run into is actually getting it out in production and getting it in the stores. Well, let me tell you about my friends at InventHelp. InventHelp has been helping inventors for over 30 years. And what they do is they package inventors' ideas, they provide a patent referral, and then they submit the idea to companies that want to receive new ideas. And some of their clients have included Lowe's, Toys R Us, Home Depot, Target, and Walmart, just to name a few. Their number is 1-800-352-1597. That's 1-800-352-1597. That's 1-800-352-1597. InventHelp is a proud sponsor of the Caiden Cowger program. Have you ever been involved in an auto accident or had to get your car repaired and then got an expensive bill? For example, you're driving home on a shopping trip you didn't want to go on in the first place, and the next thing you know, traveling at just 65 miles per hour, a stupid deer jumps right out in front of you and whack, hits you right in the front of the car. Yeah, sorry, I had a flashback. Well, let me tell you about our sponsor, Maximum Car Care. Due to a decline in the economy and major car companies filing for bankruptcy, American Auto Protection has announced a revolutionary low-cost extended service plan that is now available to the general public to save customers thousands of dollars on auto repairs. They can be reached at 1-800-824-9762. That is 1-800-824-9762. 9762. That's 1-800-824-9762. Do your teeth ever get stained from drinking a lot of coffee or tea? And then when that happens, you have to make an appointment, you have to go to the dentist, and then they scrape half your gum out along with the plaque. It's horrible. Well, let me tell you about our friends at Paraswabs. Paraswabs is the 5-minute solution to get teeth white without visiting the dentist. Teeth that are stained from coffee or tea will be 2 shades whiter with just one Paraswabs treatment. Paraswabs is clinically proven to whiten teeth as well as caps. They can be reached by calling 1-800-678-4817. That is 1-800-678-4817. That is 1-800-678-4817. That is 1-800-678-4817.
Caiden Cowger. Somebody had to say it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Caiden Cowger program. It is great to have you with us. So, guys, I have some audio bits here that I want to play for you. And it's of Justice Scalia. And, you know, the guy was really just an absolute constitutional genius. He was. And I'm going to play this for you here. This is of Scalia on gun control. And he said gun control is not reasonable. And he goes into detail explaining why he feels that way. Go ahead and play it. This is from 2013.
How it should be done. 2008 case of District of Columbia versus Heller, in which you wrote the decision upholding the individual right to possess firearms, a decision that runs to more than 60 pages of very close textual and historical analysis. Reading law, quote, the Second Amendment did not say that the people shall have the right to keep and bear arms, or even that, quote, the government shall not prevent the people from keeping and bearing arms, but rather that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This triggered historical inquiry. So how does the history inform the reading of what strikes a layman like me as a very tricky text, that prefatory clause, comma?
Well, that passage you read triggered, I said it triggered historical inquiry because the Second Amendment refers to it as though it were a pre-existing right. It didn't say the people shall have the right, or even the government shall not take away arms, but rather the right of the people to keep and bear, as though it was a pre-existing right. And that triggered historical inquiry that takes you back to the English Bill of Rights, which, sure enough, contained the right to keep and bear arms. As for the prologue, are they going to know what the prologue is? You know, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the defense of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Again, if you studied history, what's the connection between not taking away arms, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, and the militia? It seems very strange. But historical inquiry shows you what the connection is. The way the Stuart kings, the Catholic kings, destroyed the militia, which was supposed to be all of the male citizens trained to arms. The way they destroyed the militia was not by abolishing it. They just took away the arms of all of those who opposed the Catholic kings. And so there is a connection. A well-regulated militia being necessary for the defense of a free state, a militia consisting of all of the body of the citizenry, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It makes thorough sense if you understand the history. And without the history, you ask yourself, what is this guarantee of the state's ability to have a militia? What is it doing in the Bill of Rights, for Pete's sake? Why isn't it some other portion of the Constitution?
So that was Justice Scalia on the right to keep and bear arms. And I tell you, guys, the man was just an absolute, he was an absolute genius. And the liberals hated him because he had such a strong loyalty to the original text, to the original, really just the originality of the Constitution and how it was meant to be interpreted. He believed that the Constitution would have to be interpreted in context. And we saw this time and time and time again. Well, just like with the Supreme Court's decision regarding same-sex marriage. And he asked this question during the hearings, he asked, when did same-sex marriage become a particular right? At what date in time? Because at the original founding of writing of the Constitution, the drafting and passage of the Constitution, it was never, marriage was not in the Constitution. It was an issue to be decided by the states. The Constitution clearly says that all issues not mentioned in the Constitution are to be decided at a state level. And so that was his response. Leave it up to the states. And instead, rather than leaving this in the democratic system, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of same-sex marriage's legalization making up wording in the Constitution that did not exist. And, the Scalia was definitely a strong advocate for the court's original purpose, which was to interpret the law, not legislate. And, it's really just a huge loss, like I've said before, to our country. I'm still shocked over it. We have lost a absolutely great man. And I have another audio bit here that I want to play for you of Justice Scalia. And this is his opinion regarding abortion and the LGBT rights thing. Go ahead and play that.
I'm in the business of enforcing democracy. What democracy means is that on controversial issues, even stuff like homosexual rights, abortion, whatever, we debate with each other and persuade each other and vote on it, either our representatives or through constitutional amendment in the states. We decide the question. Now, there are some exceptions to that in any liberal democracy, and in ours, most of those exceptions are contained in the Bill of Rights. But that Bill of Rights was adopted by the majority, which is why it is proper in a democracy to have a Bill of Rights, because the majority adopted it. Now, when they adopted it, what did they take out of that general principle? What did they take out of that general rule of democracy, that we allow open speech, we persuade each other, and we vote? What did they take out of it? They never took out these issues. Abortion, homosexual conduct, nobody ever thought that they had been included in the rights contained in the Bill of Rights, which is why abortion and homosexual sodomy were criminal for 200 years. Now, whether that's a good idea or a bad is not what I'm talking about. That's not my job to say that. It is my job to say whether the Bill of Rights has taken it out of the realm of democratic debate. Just because you feel strongly about it, it isn't necessarily in the Bill of Rights.
And that's exactly right. I mean, guys, what Scalia did was that he basically did not evolve the Constitution to fit the cultural standards as to whatever, the majority deemed in some cases, or whatever the culture believed should be. He believed that it should be left up to a democratic system and allow the majority to rule on, specific cases like that. And when the Constitution does not protect something, and the context of the Constitution is not meant to protect this certain thing, because, abortion was not protected under the Constitution. Homosexuality was not protected under the Constitution. None of that was protected under the Constitution. It doesn't matter if you believe that, well, for example, like when he was talking about should sodomy be recognized as being legal or illegal. Now, you can believe that, that should remain, legal. Like, well, for example, now, that should remain legal. Or you can say, no, that should be illegal. It's not mentioned in the Constitution, therefore, you can't, say that the Constitution protects that the Constitution protects something like that when it was illegal in many cases back then, because that wasn't the original context of the Constitution. Now, personal beliefs here, should sodomy be illegal? No. I mean, people have free will. That's what if you want to go to my Christian faith, that's what the Bible says. We all have free will. We have a decision to make. Are we going to live for God or live for our own personal pleasures? That's your decision to make. I don't think that, it should be illegal. However, I don't think that the Constitution should play any role in stuff like that. And that's what Scalia was saying at that time when that was being debated. If it's not in the Constitution, it's not in the original context, then no, it's the Supreme Court should have no say in it. The Supreme Court doesn't have any place to add to the Constitution or take away from. So, guys, it's really Scalia was an absolutely remarkable and wonderful justice when it came to acting within the Constitution, interpreting what the Constitution said, going by originalism, going against the tide when necessary, defending the Constitution. Because, guys, you can't shift the law, you can't shift the Constitution into meaning whatever you want it to mean. Otherwise, it means nothing. It has no power.
Some say he's the next Rush Limbaugh.
I tell you, this kid's got 90% of Rush's venom with only 10% of the biomass.
Caiden Cowger. Somebody had to say it.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is John Greenhut, the CEO of Power Swabs. And if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-678-4817. That's 1-800-678-4817. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-678-4817. That's 1-800-678-4817.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-824-9762. Again, 800-824-9762. That's 800-824-9762. 800-824-9762.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
It's gonna be alright.
You can find Franz Black and his music on his website, franzblack.com. F-R-A-N-Z black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
Have you ever been involved in an auto accident or had to get your car repaired and then got an expensive bill? For example, you're driving home on a shopping trip you didn't want to go on in the first place, and the next thing you know, traveling at just 65 miles per hour, a stupid deer jumps right out in front of you and whack, hits you right in the front of the car. Yeah, sorry, I had a flashback. Well, let me tell you about our sponsor, Maximum Car Care. Due to a decline in the economy and major car companies filing for bankruptcy, American Auto Protection has announced a revolutionary low-cost extended service plan that is now available to the general public to save customers thousands of dollars on auto repairs. They can be reached at 1-800-824-9762. That is 1-800-824-9762. That's 1-800-824-9762. Have you ever had this brilliant idea for an invention? I mean, you think that if this invention actually gets out in production and is able to be marketed and everything, this will make you millions and millions of dollars. So people have ideas like this all the time. But the problem that they run into is actually getting it out in production and getting it in the stores. Well, let me tell you about my friends at InventHelp. InventHelp has been helping inventors for over 30 years. And what they do is they package inventors' ideas, they provide a patent referral, and then they submit the idea to companies that want to receive new ideas. And some of their clients have included Lowe's, Toys R Us, Home Depot, Target, and Walmart, just to name a few. Their number is 1-800-352-1597. That's 1-800-352-1597. That's 1-800-352-1597. 1597. InventHelp is a proud sponsor of the Caiden Cowger program. Do your teeth ever get stained from drinking a lot of coffee or tea? And then when that happens, you have to make an appointment, you have to go to the dentist, and then they scrape half your gum out along with the plaque. It's horrible. Well, let me tell you about our friends at Power Swabs. Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get teeth white without visiting the dentist. Teeth that are stained from coffee or tea will be 2 shades whiter with just one Power Swabs treatment. Power Swabs is clinically proven to whiten teeth as well as caps. They can be reached by calling 1-800-678-4817. That is 1-800-678-4817. That is 1-800-678-4817. 4817. That is 1-800-678-4817.
Caiden Cowger. Somebody had to say it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Caiden Cowger program. It is great to have you with us. I tell you, Scalia, he was really just such a wonderful, wonderful guy. He was extremely smart. I mean, extremely passionate about his beliefs. And really, he will be greatly missed. He truly will. And I have a little audio bit here for you of Scalia, another one here. And Scalia goes into detail and talks a little bit about the text and intent of the Constitution. And it's something really just a remarkable piece by Scalia here. Listen to this.
What is the assumptions that are in the service of the text and those that open the door wide to judicial interference or fiat?
Some of them are just standard manners in which people understand language, okay?
Right, got it.
And that's one whole category that the others can't complain about. Other ones are so traditional, they have been around so long, that anybody who's a legislator and writes a statute ought to know that that's the way it will be interpreted by the people and by the courts. An example of that is the proposition that when you have a listing at the end of the thing, at the end of a passage, which says something like dogs, cats, gerbils, parrots, parakeets, and other animals, that generalized term will not be interpreted to mean elephants. It will be interpreted to mean other animals of the same sort, namely domestic animals, pets. That's an ancient principle.
It's almost a question of legal grammar.
It's almost legal grammar, right? Now, I can't say that that every English-speaking person would understand that automatically, but every English-speaking lawyer would certainly understand that that's how courts have interpreted a phrase of that sort for hundreds of years. You should not interpret language strictly, nor should you interpret it sloppily. You should interpret it reasonably. Strict constructionists give a bad name to serious textualists who say language should be interpreted reasonably. The First Amendment is the example I always give. If you were a strict constructionist, you would have to believe that Congress could censor handwritten letters, because all the First Amendment is that Congress makes abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. A handwritten letter is not speech, it's not the press, so it can be censored, right? No. I mean, a proper understanding of the First Amendment is speech, press. It means there's a figure of speech called, I see a sail where the part stands for the whole.
Yes, right.
Used to know
is
the
that
name
synecdoche?
Synecdoche. My God, that's brilliant.
Did
you have a Jesuit education?
I did not, but I grew up in upstate New York where the English teacher just said think of Schenectady.
Ah, I see. Yeah, it is. It's
all right. So synecdoche.
Synecdoche, and I think speech and press are synecdoche, standing for the conveyance of ideas, expression, whether it's done by semaphore, by Morse code, by burning a flag, so long as it's your own flag, you're free to express yourself.
The false notion that committee reports and floor speeches are worthwhile aids in statutory construction. Close quote. Mr. Justice Scalia, you have no interest in probing the intent of a legislature.
We are, as the famous line from the Massachusetts Constitution says, a government of laws, not of men. We're governed by the laws that Congress enacts, not by the unexpressed intent of whoever wrote them. And if they meant up when they said down, that's their problem. I frankly, if the legislative history is utterly clear about that, too bad. We're governed by the laws. So that's point one. You shouldn't be worried about their intent. Anyway, you should be worried about what was promulgated to the people. That's what they're governed by. But secondly, even if you were interested in legislative intent, are you going to find that in legislative history? For one thing, in a multi-member body, it's very hard to understand what the intent was beyond the words that they all voted on. Other than that, they could have voted for them for very different reasons. Just because one or two of them say, oh, I think the language does this, the rest may not have felt the same way. So the notion that you can pluck statements from a couple of legislators or even from a committee report, which is usually written by some teenagers and not even
members of the Federal Society, if we're lucky.
Not even very often, not even read by the committee, much less read by the whole House. Much less read by the other house. The notion that somehow is reflective of the intent of the whole Congress and of the president who had to sign the thing. I mean, it truly is the last surviving fiction in American law. There would be a lot of fictions, you know. This is a fiction. You have to engage in a willing suspension of disbelief to accept this.
The false notion that the living Constitution is an exception to the rule that legal texts must be given the meaning they bore when adopted. Close quote. The argument, of course, is that the framers were wise men. They understood that they were constructing a document for the ages, so they left a little play in the joints. They permitted this thing to breathe, to expand, to adapt. And the body charged with executing these expansions and adaptions is the judiciary.
Yeah. No, they knew that there would be need for change, and that's why they had an amendment provision, as some constitutions did not. This Constitution could be amended. And if you listen to John Marshall in the Bank of the United States case, what enables the application of the Constitution to new situations that can't be envisioned by the framers is not the ability of the courts to change the meaning of the Constitution, but rather when the courts interpret provisions of the Constitution, they ought, as John Marshall said, to give those provisions an expansive meaning because they have to be used in situations that cannot possibly be envisioned now. That's the way in which the Constitution is expandable and flexible, not by being amendable through the courts. When you have terms in the Constitution that are not ambiguous in the sense that they can mean one of two things, but rather are general, so that they could cover a lot of things. You should interpret them not to cover the things that the people who adopted that provision did not think they covered. And, cruel and unusual punishments is one. Of course, those words could cover a lot of things, but it's clear from the history of the times that nobody thought that it included the death penalty. Nobody. And it's the same thing with this right of abortion, whether it's founded in the 14th or, the 9th Amendment, forget about it. Nobody ever thought that... just look at history. All the states had prohibitions on abortion for hundreds of years. So when was it that the American people made the decision to forbid a state from adopting such?
They never did.
They never did.
So that was Justice Scalia. Just an absolutely brilliant man. We have really, really lost a great constitutionalist, a great conservative, and a great American.
Caiden Cowger. Cowger.
Keeping America straight.
Caiden Cowger. Somebody had to say it.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Paraswabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is John Greenhut, the CEO of Paraswabs. And if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Paraswabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Paraswabs risk-free, call 1-800-678-4817. That's 1-800-678-4817. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-678-4817. That's 1-800-678-4817.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-824-9762. Again, 800-824-9762. That's 800-824-9762. 800-824-9762.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. Call InventHelp today.
Call 1-800-352-1597. That's 1-800-352-1597.
Have you ever had this brilliant idea for an invention? I mean, you think that if this idea, if this invention actually gets out in production and is able to be marketed and everything, this will make you millions and millions of dollars. So people have ideas like this all the time. But the problem that they run into is actually getting it out in production and getting it in the stores. Well, let me tell you about my friends at InventHelp. InventHelp has been helping inventors for over 30 years. And what they do is they package inventors' ideas, they provide a patent referral, and then they submit the idea to companies that want to receive new ideas. And some of their clients have included Lowe's, Toys R Us, Home Depot, Target, and Walmart, just to name a few. Their number is 1-800-352-1597. That's 1-800-352-1597. That's 1-800-352-1597. 1597. InventHelp is a proud sponsor of the Caiden Cowger program. Do your teeth ever get stained from drinking a lot of coffee or tea? And then when that happens, you have to make an appointment, you have to go to the dentist, and then they scrape half your gum out along with the plaque. It's horrible. Well, let me tell you about our friends at Paraswabs. Paraswabs is the 5-minute solution to get teeth white without visiting the dentist. Teeth that are stained from coffee or tea will be 2 shades whiter with just one Paraswabs treatment. Paraswabs is clinically proven to whiten teeth as well as caps. They can be reached by calling 1-800-678-4817. That is 1-800-678-4817. That is 1-800-678-4817. That is 1-800-678-4817. Have you ever been involved in an auto accident or had to get your car repaired and then got an expensive bill? For example, you're driving home on a shopping trip you didn't want to go on in the first place, and the next thing you know, traveling at just 65 miles per hour, a stupid deer jumps right out in front of you and whack, hits you right in the front of the car. Yeah, sorry, I had a flashback. Well, let me tell you about our sponsor, Maximum Car Care. Due to a decline in the economy and major car companies filing for bankruptcy, American Auto Protection has announced a revolutionary low-cost extended service plan that is now available to the general public to save customers thousands of dollars on auto repairs. They can be reached at 1-800-824-9762. That is 1-800-824-9762. That's 1-800-824-9762.
Caiden Cowger.
Somebody had to say it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Caiden Cowger program. It is great to have you with us. So I want to get back to what Justice Scalia was talking about there on abortion, because he was really going into detail about how the Supreme Court decided on that case, and it's very, very fascinating. I'm going to go ahead and play it for you. Once again, this is Justice Scalia.
Nobody ever thought that... I mean, just look at history. All the states had prohibitions on abortion for hundreds of years. So when was it that the American people made the decision to forbid a state from adopting such? They never did. They never did. The court made it up. And you know, we're not talking about the right or wrong of the substantive result. I mean, I'm quite, neutral on that. The point is, who should decide? Should it be a question on abortion, whether people try to persuade each other that there ought to be, there oughtn't to be, and put it to a vote? That's fine. That's, if you want the right to abortion, create it the way most rights are created. In a democracy, you persuade your fellow citizens, pass a law. You want to abolish the death penalty, the same thing. But all of that democratic choice is taken away when the court is enabled to give vague provisions such as due process of law, equal protection of the laws, meanings that they did not have when they were adopted.
So that was Justice Scalia. I mean, guys, I've said this so many times throughout the show, but he was a genius. He was an absolute genius when it came to the Constitution. He passed away Saturday at the age of 79, appointed by Ronald Reagan to the Supreme Court, nominated by Reagan, then appointed back in 1986. And guys, I tell you, it is very, very hard to see that he passed away. And one of the interesting things about Justice Scalia is that, who his best buddy was? Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one of the most liberal justices that's on that court. And when he was asked about that, he said, yeah, I guess you can call us the odd couple. And he said that the reason why, that he gets along with her so well and why he gets along with the other justices so well is that, they see each other more than they see their family. He said, I see her and the other justices more than I see my wife, so we have a good working relationship. We don't take it personally. But, yeah, it is very, very sad to see that he has passed away at the age of 79. And, guys, he will greatly be missed. And one of the interesting things that Justice Scalia said, and this is a quote I'm going to leave you with, Justice Scalia said that a man who has made no enemies is probably not a very good man. And, how true is that? Because, when you stick for the right thing, you defend the right things, you make enemies because the people who do wrong come after you and they hammer you for making the right decisions. Because, sometimes it's not a good thing to be cool. And another thing that he said is that, and this was, let me see if I can find this other quote here. But he said, God assumed from the beginning that Christians, God assumed from the beginning that the wise of the world would view Christians as fools. The wise of the world would view Christians as fools, and he has not been disappointed. If I have brought any message today, it is this: have the courage to have your wisdom regarded as stupidity. Be fools for Christ, and have the courage to suffer the contempt of the sophisticated world. That was Justice Antoine Scalia. Born March 11th, 1936. Died February 13th, 2016. Dead at the age of 79. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening to us tonight. For more information on the Caiden Cowger program, go to CaidenCowgerProgram.com. And for the latest news exposing the left, go to CowgerNation.com. Thank you, God bless, and God save this nation.